Maricopa County Recorder Helen Purcell is the person who's responsible for the polling places in Arizona. Now, to save money, her and her other genius Republican friends decided it would be a brilliant idea to cut the number of places you can vote by 70%. Remember, she's cutting the number by 70%, not just in Maricopa County. She's cutting the number of polling places, the place where you can go vote on Election Day, in all of Arizona by 70%. That's an unbelievable fact. So there were 200 places you can vote in 2012. In 2016, there were 60. That's incredible. So a Fox reporter spoke to Helen about the really, really long wait times that happened as a result of this, and here's how that conversation went. Question: when you look back on this, is this going to be a failure of your office? Answer: I don't think so. When you get people out to vote, is that a failure? I don't think so. Okay, let's pause here. Dude, you didn't get anybody out to vote. Are you running for office? Are you Bernie Sanders? Are you Hillary Clinton? Are you Donald Trump? Are you Ted Cruz? You didn't do Dickie McGee's acts. You had one job. That job was to make sure there were enough polling places and everything was taken care of. You didn't do it. She's giving herself credit for high turnout? What the fuck is that? All right, more. Just to start, obviously, you've heard all the frustration. Who is to blame for this, these long lines? All right, you ready for this answer? Well, the voters for getting in line. Maybe us for not having enough voting places. No. It's not maybe us. It's definitely us. And by us, I mean you. And did you really just mention the voters when the guy asked you who's to blame? She's blaming the voters for going to vote in a democracy. That may be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. No, see, that's the point of the system that we have. This is why it exists. You know, in theory, you go and you vote, and then the people get to Washington, and they represent you, and they implement your will as long as your will does not violate the Constitution. That's supposed to be the way it functions. Like, yeah, you know, so what? I cut the polling places by 70%. There were super long lines. People wanted to vote. Who cares? I blame them. They shouldn't have showed up. So what are you saying? This should be a dictatorship? Should be a tyranny? And you need to understand the extent of the problem. There were lines in all the different elections, by the way. In Utah, in Idaho, and in Arizona. Arizona just happened to be the worst. There were situations where lines were literally a mile long. In Arizona, some people waited online so long, they didn't have water. They needed to get offline just to get water, and they lost their place and they couldn't vote. There was one place where they ordered pizza on the line. It was a fucking mess and a half. It was a mess. And here she is, like, well, I blame the voters maybe because they're the ones who got into the line. Blame the victim. Please, nobody ask her thoughts on women who have gotten raped, because clearly she's going to be one of those people who says, well, what was she wearing? Was it a short skirt? Because maybe it's her fault a little bit.